I walked into the courtroom expecting another lie, but the judge ordered my mother-in-law handcuffed after a hidden bedroom recording echoed through the speakers. My husband turned pale when he realized every betrayal had been documented. They believed they had already stolen my future. They never imagined I had spent months quietly building the case that would erase everything they owned. Before we begin, dear friends, please help me. Your subscription is very valuable to me. Please subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. My name is Elliot. Marcus and I had just moved into a beautiful 4-bedroom house overlooking the river. We bought it using my software company's profits and a family trust established by my late father. The property alone was worth $2.8 million. I believed marriage meant partnership. Victoria, my mother-in-law, believed ownership meant control. On our second evening, she placed thick trust documents across the dining table. Sign, she smiled, and let experienced people handle finances. Marcus nodded without hesitation. Whatever Mom suggests protects everyone, he said. I refused politely. Victoria laughed softly, then produced revised papers carrying forged legal language claiming temporary management authority. Marcus insisted signatures were routine. Against my instincts, I delayed instead of agreeing. That hesitation saved my life. Weeks later, I became pregnant. Instead of congratulations, Victoria scheduled mysterious medical appointments with doctors I had never chosen. They asked strange questions about paranoia, memory, and emotional stability. One physician repeatedly suggested inpatient observation. My instincts hardened. I requested complete medical records. Receptionists suddenly claimed files were unavailable. Bills arrived showing consultations costing $18,450, charged through Victoria's preferred insurance network. Something was terribly wrong. I stopped arguing. Silence became my strongest weapon. I hired a cybersecurity consultant using cash from my personal savings. Together we installed 6 hidden cameras inside the house, including one disguised as a smoke detector above our bedroom door. Another rested inside a digital clock facing the medicine cabinet. Every recording uploaded automatically to encrypted cloud storage under an account only my attorney could access. I also opened a separate bank account and redirected future business revenue there. Every invoice, contract, and tax receipt received duplicate digital backups. I smiled whenever Victoria called me forgetful. She mistook patience for weakness. She never noticed I had already contacted the state's financial crimes unit after discovering inconsistencies within the trust paperwork. An investigator quietly confirmed several notarized signatures appeared suspicious. He advised me to keep acting normal until everyone exposed themselves. That night I looked around my perfect kitchen, smelled Victoria's expensive jasmine perfume, watched Marcus casually ignore my exhausted face, and finally understood I was living beside strangers. My fear disappeared. Only icy clarity remained. From that moment, every smile I offered became part of my trap. I would collect every lie, every forged document, every whispered threat, and every illegal transfer before making a single move. They believed they controlled my future, but they were already walking carefully into the evidence cage together. The next morning, Victoria arrived carrying fresh pastries and a warm smile. She hugged Marcus first, ignored me, then placed a small white envelope beside my coffee. Inside waited another psychiatric appointment confirmation. Marcus casually said, "Please cooperate. Mom only wants healthy grandchildren." I nodded, folded the paper, and quietly thanked them. That afternoon I met attorney Daniel Brooks inside his downtown office. I handed him copies of every suspicious document. He immediately noticed inconsistent dates, altered initials, and forged witness signatures. We prepared notarized affidavits and instructed my accountant to freeze any unauthorized transfers. Meanwhile, my business continued growing. Our newest software licensing agreement brought another $640,000 payment into the protected account. Victoria somehow learned money had not entered the family trust. Her pleasant voice disappeared. She demanded complete access to corporate banking, claiming pregnancy made me emotionally unreliable. I apologized sweetly and promised everything would happen after my next medical visit. She smiled again, believing she had regained control. The appointment became another performance. The psychiatrist asked rehearsed questions while Victoria answered before I could speak. Hidden inside my handbag, a miniature recorder captured every word. When the doctor suggested immediate hospitalization without reviewing my independent medical history, I politely requested his licensing information. His hands trembled. Victoria interrupted, insisting legal paperwork already authorized treatment. I thanked everyone, collected every brochure, and left quietly. 3 nights later, the cameras captured exactly what I had expected. Shortly after midnight, Victoria unlocked the front door using a key Marcus secretly provided. Richard followed carrying latex gloves and a small pharmacy bag. They entered our bedroom while believing I was asleep. Victoria removed my prenatal medication, replaced several tablets, and whispered that unstable women never kept successful companies or newborn babies. Richard laughed and reminded her to hide the original prescription bottle inside the garage. Marcus stood outside the bedroom, saying nothing. I watched everything from the guest room through a secure tablet connected to the hidden cameras. My heart pounded, yet my hands remained perfectly steady. I never confronted them. Instead, I called Daniel, the financial investigator, and local police. They instructed me not to interfere because uninterrupted recordings would strengthen future criminal charges. Before sunrise, every video file had already been duplicated across 3 secure servers. The following morning, Victoria embraced me with fake concern and asked whether I had taken my medicine. I looked directly into her eyes, smiled softly, and answered yes. She seemed delighted. She believed the plan was finally succeeding. She never realized the medicine bottle inside my hand had already been switched by investigators several hours earlier, preserving every fingerprint, every altered tablet, and every trace of the conspiracy that would soon destroy their carefully constructed empire forever. Later that evening, Daniel informed me forensic testing confirmed the substituted pills contained dangerous sedatives never prescribed during pregnancy. The investigators finally believed every warning I had reported. We agreed to wait until Victoria filed her lawsuit, ensuring every deception collapsed publicly before the judge. Together, Victoria made the first move exactly as Daniel predicted. She filed a petition claiming I was mentally unstable, incapable of managing my business, and unfit to raise my unborn child. She demanded immediate control of the house, the trust, and every corporate asset. Marcus signed an affidavit supporting his mother. Reading his signature hurt more than every lie combined. Still, I showed no emotion. Court day arrived with reporters filling the hallway because my company had become well known throughout the state. Victoria entered wearing an expensive cream suit, smiling confidently at everyone. Richard whispered that everything would be over before lunch. Marcus avoided looking into my eyes. When proceedings began, Victoria's attorney presented fabricated psychiatric evaluations, altered trust documents, and emotional testimony describing me as unstable. The courtroom remained silent. Then Daniel stood and requested permission to introduce authenticated digital evidence. The judge agreed. The lights dimmed. The first recording showed Victoria replacing my medication. The second captured Richard hiding the prescription bottle. The third revealed Marcus admitting he knew exactly what his parents planned. Gasps filled the courtroom. Daniel then submitted forensic reports confirming the pills contained unauthorized sedatives. Next came certified handwriting analysis proving the trust papers had been forged. Finally, banking experts demonstrated attempted transfers exceeding $3.4 million into accounts controlled by Victoria. Every excuse collapsed within minutes. Victoria screamed that the recordings were illegal. The judge rejected the objection because the evidence had been lawfully preserved inside my own residence. Detectives entered immediately after the ruling. Handcuffs clicked around Victoria's and Richard's wrists while cameras flashed from every direction. Marcus stood frozen as officers informed him he was under investigation for conspiracy and financial fraud. Nobody came to comfort him. Nobody believed his excuses. Weeks later, the criminal convictions became final. Victoria and Richard received prison sentences for fraud, harassment, evidence tampering, and conspiracy. Marcus lost every ownership claim, every professional relationship, and eventually the house he thought he would inherit. The family trust returned entirely to me. The court granted me full custody of my beautiful child and complete legal ownership of my company and property. Months later, I watched my son laugh while sunlight filled our peaceful garden. The fear was gone. The anger had faded. Only strength remained. I finally understood that silence is not surrender when it is protecting the perfect moment for truth. The people who tried to steal my future had destroyed only their own. I closed the gate behind us, breathed deeply, and stepped into the life we deserved together. Every sunrise reminded me that justice sometimes arrives quietly, but when it finally speaks, nobody can silence it again. My child would grow up surrounded by honesty, dignity, and peace instead of manipulation, fear, and greed forever. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Let me know in the comments what you would have done.